So leading from that, Claire and Sam, the challenge of playing 19 all the way up to early 40s is clearly a completely unique one, and not one that many actors have ever had the challenge of doing, or you probably ever will have again. So how on earth did you begin to tackle being a teenager and middle-aged all at once? And all presumably out of order constantly.
In the same day.
In the same day, putting a wig on and off.
Yeah.
Claire, what was the...
I don't know. I think we had like a week of rehearsal.
Loads of time.
Loads of time. But that was
so much time.
But that's like a luxury.
That
because,
is.
you know, and it was amazing in that time because I think we all were there, sort of looking through the scripts and all sharing and going, "How are you gonna do that bit?" And what do you think about that? And like discussing whether we should probably have a stoop or like, do you know what I mean? Just because you don't know.
Because when you're old, you have a stoop. You know?
Yeah, but honestly, because it's like I felt like I had to go. I have to show somehow that I'm getting older. I have to do something, and I think it was kind of a couple of weeks in, I realised I sort of probably shouldn't. And I think you
threw the Zimmer frame away.
Yeah. But honestly, I think you just sort of had to go with the story and trust that the audience would accept you are still that person. I think, and the makeup and costume was extraordinary. So we didn't really have to do anything. I don't think.
We talked quite a lot beforehand about that, didn't we? Because there is a version of it where the audience just go with you, which is, I think, what you've done here, and they may not completely look like your early 40s, but it doesn't matter because you just go with it. And there's another version where you really make people up quite heavily, and I think it can distract. And I think you're absolutely right. Just because you fall in love with all of your characters, you just completely go on the journey with them.
Yeah, well, that's what
Zimmer
you hope.
frame or not.
But also, we're only going up to 40 odd, so it would have been incredibly.
40's the new 20s.
Yeah.
Sam, what about you? How did you find that shift?
I mean,
was it the same as
I
with
definitely
Claire?
feel. I think Jack's story kind of allows him to be a different character in each episode. I think, you know, that there's moments when he's very, very, you know, down. And there's moments when he's very, very down. Moments when he's even further down, and then there's a moment when he's up. You know, and it's kind of. I think that allowed me to have the opportunity to just. I didn't feel like I was being 45 or. You know, I suppose the costumes and seeing everybody else, you know, Lee with a funny moustache and everyone, you kind of informed it for yourself. I don't think there was ever, I never felt overly challenged by it. I'm not saying I'm an amazing actor and, you know, it came naturally, but I think everyone else was so fantastic. I was surrounded by amazing people, and amazing people were sort of pushing me in the right direction. I think we were quite lucky, really.
I think you were brilliant as a group of performers together, weren't you? I remember overhearing a conversation because as a director, you listen in on conversations around you, and I can remember you all sat together, and I heard.
Well, this is terrifying.
What I did hear was you all agreeing that for it to work, you all had to believe in each other as friends, and especially we were on location at the beginning of the shoot. And we knew we were about to go into that house and be in that for weeks on end and go across all these decades. And I remember everybody saying, if we don't believe we're in that house, nobody else will. And I think you all worked really hard at understanding each other as well as yourselves to kind of create a bond of friendship, which really comes across and is, I think it's an amazing achievement from all of you.
Paul has just whispered to me, don't forget the politics.
I knew he'd say that.
So I'm now going to ask her, Paul, about the politics. But seriously, as you were talking about, when I was rewatching it, I've watched it about 1 million times and it never fails to move me. One of the things that really strikes me about it, and it's what you were talking about before, is the wisdom of it. And I think it's what you were talking about, that it feels like you are looking on people with perspective. You're both totally in the moment in their lives, but you're bringing a huge sense of wisdom and humanity to their lives, and I think that is why it's so extraordinarily compelling. But it is also beyond the personal, like with Charlotte, it is also about the politics and the political. And how did you engage with all those themes from the 60s right up to now, through the 80s and the 90s? How did you weave them into the narrative without it feeling emblematic?
Well, in the political pieces I've written before, I've always believed that you do it through character. And from The Politician's Wife and other pieces of work. And I believe that to be so. So in conceiving these characters, the kind of beating heart of the politics is the character of Jack. And Sam had to get his tongue around a lot of
Women.
women, which is also about politics. They obviously enjoyed that more than he had to getting his tongue around political speeches. And he is the kind of thanks for that.